J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Monday, the 18th day of November, year of our Lord 2019, welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our shows with something that Adam Schiff, Congressman Adam Schiff, would probably wish he never heard of because he's facing men and women who actually do believe the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Preparative of the day, over the weekend, I read a fascinating book. It deals with the spiritual nature of what we're all dealing with here on the geopolitical scene. It's a novel on one hand, but on the other, the author apparently knows some of the people I know, like Steve Quayle and Dave Hodges. I don't know Barry Ross, but we have a mutual acquaintance. Barry is one of the foremost authorities on the Bible Code and others. The title of the book is Things Are Not As They Seem. I say again, the title of the book is Things Are Not As They Seem. The author is Mr. Daniel Holdings. The book has 197 footnotes, a bit unusual for a novel, to say the least. The footnotes typically go to links that you can read articles and watch videos. Very well done book, and I highly recommend it. One last time, the title of the book, I don't want to be getting emails. John, what was the title of that book? I get this all the time. The title of the book is, one last time, Things Are Not As They Seem. The author is Mr. Daniel Holdings, Holdings. This is Firearms Monday. We have patiently waiting in the green room my friend Sam Andrews. Sam is the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, John.
A beautiful sunshiny day here in south central Missouri. I hope it's the same way on your end.
The sun is shining and the wind is not blowing, and it's going to be a great day to go out and be outside and enjoy the weather.
Absolutely. Soak up some vitamin D. Well, sir, every week people are anxiously waiting to hear the firearms tip of the week, and what would that be this week, sir?
Well, this week I want to talk a little bit about ammunition storage. The tip of the week is to store your ammo in a cool, dry place. The way that we do it, which seems to work out the best, is we use ammo cans, metal ammo cans with a rubber O-ring on top. The plastic ones don't seem to work very well when they're loaded with ammo. We like the metal cans with the O-ring in good shape. And what we do is we buy 1 gallon and 2 gallon Ziploc bags, freezer bags, and we put the ammunition in the bag, seal it up airtight, and then put it in the ammo can.
Okay. I wasn't aware there were 2 gallon Ziploc bags. I guess that got past me somehow.
Yeah, at most grocery stores you can find a freezer bag. I guess they call them freezer bags. They're larger, and they're 2 gallons, or you can get them on Amazon or some other place. But they work really, really well. If you're storing brass, the 2 gallon bags work well. If you're storing loaded ammunition, the 1 gallon bags are heavy enough when they're full.
All right. So you've been using this system for a while, and it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, we've been doing this for over 15 years, and it works extremely well. The other thing that we do is, like when I go on a hunt in the mountains, the same machine that you vacuum pack meat with, I always vacuum pack a section of ammo. So if I fall in a creek, a river, or a lake, I don't have to worry about the ammo getting soaked. I always have ammo that's dry on me.
Well, I have one of those vacuum pack machines myself. It's a off the shelf, big box thing for storing food, obviously. Anything important, I vacuum pack one bag inside a second vacuum packed bag. Typically I see about a 5 to 10% failure rate on the vacuum packed bags. So when you do one inside the other, that cuts that down. The odds of both seals failing are pretty minimal. But I'm a big fan of vacuum packing, not only ammunition, but magazines. If you need to save space when you're traveling, vacuum packing socks and underwear and things like that will take up a lot less space. Vacuum packing is a great thing, isn't it?
It really is. I vacuum pack a couple of pairs of wool socks, and I throw that in my backpack when I'm in the mountains, and that also a spare pair of gloves. So the things that cover my extremities, there's always a chance you can slip. There's always a chance you could fall. There's always a chance you could get chased by a big animal and have a problem with a weapon. And it is really nice. I've had this happen one time in probably 45 years, but I had extra socks and a dry pair of gloves to put on after getting absolutely soaked.
Well, little things like that make a huge difference, and things happen. It's just the nature of being out and about and doing things. Things happen, and having contingency plans and a plan A and a plan B and a plan C are just smart in general, isn't it?
Absolutely. We were in Canada. I was with a friend named Don. We were bear hunting in Canada about 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and we were up in the Arctic Circle in northern Ontario, and we were on a rock we called Wolf Rock, and it stuck out of the ground about the size of a kitchen, 15 feet in the air, and we could climb up on top of this rock. It had a nice flat plateau on top, and we could glass for wolves and see them running in the blueberry patches. And we got up on Wolf Rock to look for bears, and we saw this enormous black bear about 1,500 yards away. And we jumped off Wolf Rock, and we started running that direction, and we had to go over one mountain ridge and down across a lake. And this lake area had these plants growing on it like roots. It almost looked like a mangrove swamp in northern Canada. And we started walking on top of these roots so that we didn't go down into the muck.
I know what's coming. I know what's coming. Go ahead.
Yeah, and of course, my heavy exterior broke through a root, and I went waist deep into this black mud they call loon SH something T, and I was stuck there. And my buddy, who had been coveting my rifle all week that I had custom built for this trip, he looked at me and said, "Hey, man, are you all right?" And I said, I think I'm really stuck. And this stuff is like quicksand. Right. If you move, you just sink further and further. But it's so cold and so thick that it traps you like a vacuum seal. You're suctioned into the mud, and you can't get out. And I looked at him, and I said, I'm really, really stuck. He said, "Well, if you're really stuck, give me that rifle." I turned around and looked at him. I said, "Don, there's a chance I could always get out of here." He goes, "Oh, no, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to take some weight off of you."
Okay.
But I eventually dug my way out in time for the bear to disappear, and we never found him. But that was an interesting day, to say the least.
Well, it's pretty scary. Now, tell me, if you had been by yourself, would extraction have been, what would the outcome have been?
I would have gotten out if I had been by myself, but it took me almost 20 minutes to figure out a technique to dislodge myself. And my boot when I did get out, one of my boots that was fully laced, double wrapped at the top and tied tight, actually came off my leg. And it was still in the mud. I had to reach down with my arm and dig it out once I got out.
Amazing. Well, I double wrap the string, the boot lace around the top of my boot, and use a surgeon's nut when I tie it off. I've been doing that for decades. I don't use a regular bow tie knot on my boots at all.
Yeah, that was a great hunting trip. We had a real interesting time. We were driving down this logging road. The guide had three of us in a pickup truck, myself, Don, and his wife. And Don and I had both shot a bear on the trip, and his wife had not killed a bear. And so we're driving down this logging road, and the guide is going 45 miles an hour, just flying down these narrow logging roads. And I look out into a field on my right, and I see two bears in this field. And I say, stop, 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 back up, back up. And he backs up. And Don's wife says, this bear is mine. And she jumps out of the truck. Don agrees. He says, all right, get a good shot, get steady. She jumps out of the truck, points her rifle at the bear, and the next thing you hear is kaboom. And I see her rifle come down, and she looks at Don and says, what in the heck is wrong with you? He goes, you were taking too long to shoot. I had to shoot.
Really?
She never did get a bear that week. Don got him. It was hysterical.
Well, now this was her husband that took the shot?
Yes, and he gave her about 1.7 seconds to pull the trigger, and he lit that bear up. I couldn't believe it.
Well, for him, that was a long time, and I think there's the phenomenon tachyphrenia was kicked in for him, and his brain was going so fast that time seemed to slow down. Well, that's quite a story. Well, getting back to ammunition storage, there's a fairly well-known personality on the alternative media, Mike Adams, and he did some testing, and he came to the same conclusion you did. The military issue steel ammo cans with a good quality rubber seal around the top. He had ammunition stored in that manner in an experiment underneath water in a pond for some period of time. And when he extracted the ammo cans from the pond, the inside was still dry. So these military-issue steel cans, they may cost a bit more than these commercial plastic ammo cans, but if you get one that's in good condition and has a good rubber seal, it doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Well, I can verify what he found out in his test. You know, in 2016, my shop was flooded with 4.5 feet of water. Now, we took the brass and the bullets and the powder and got as much of that stuff out as we could. The stuff that we didn't take out of the shop, we knew the water was rising. We put on shelves at 6-7 feet in the air. Well, I had one ammo can that was a military-grade ammo can that was underneath a workbench that I didn't see. And I had another one that was hidden behind a computer printer that I didn't see that was plastic. Both of them had brass in them, not loaded ammo. And when we finally got back in the shop, we discovered that we had missed these ammo cans and had not put them up high in the air. And sure enough, the metal ammo can, everything inside that brass was completely dry, and the plastic ammo can, which, by the way, had a rubber seal on the lid, was full of water.
Right. Well, sometimes you may think you may be looking through a catalog offering these different items for sale or at a gun show. You may think you can save some money, but you're actually not accomplishing your goal of protecting whatever's inside that can. And of course, ammo cans can be used to store anything, photographs, documents, pretty much anything that'll fit can be stored inside an ammo can, can't it?
Absolutely. And they actually, if you wrap something in bubble wrap, foil, bubble wrap, a second time, you can throw it in a metal ammo can, and you've got a mini Faraday cage right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good point as well. Okay. I hope people will take this to heart, because storing ammunition is an important thing. I tell people that I had difficulty getting ammunition in Vietnam, and they're just incredulous. How could that be the case? But it certainly was. I had to beg and borrow and do extra duty, whatever I could to get extra ammunition in Vietnam. So that was my wake-up call to never be caught short. And being short on ammunition when you're in combat is not a good feeling, is it, Sam?
No, that's a terrible feeling, because you can't fight. You've got to hide. If you don't have ammo, you cannot expose yourself. It completely changes how you move and operate and what you can and cannot do. Absolutely
it does. If you got a question or comment, you can give us a call at 800-313-9443. Well, the Democrats have not backed off from promoting what they call sensible gun control. And Kamala Harris has doubled down on that, saying that she would basically confiscate all AR-15s. The Democrats are digging themselves a hole. They claim to be the party of the working class. Well, who do they think the members of the NRA are? That is the working class. The majority of men and women who belong to the NRA are blue-collar workers, aren't they?
I would say there's a number in the millions that are members of the NRA, and there's hundreds of thousands that are members of a much better organization called Gun Owners of America. And then there's another 20, 30 million that don't belong to either organization, that think the Democrats have lost their ever-loving minds.
Hold that thought. We got a break. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday. It is Monday, the 18th of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We are going on a cruise. Last I heard, there's still cabins available to be reserved. Beautiful Caribbean cruise. Great time to be away from the snow, the ice, the slop of wintertime, the second week of February, which includes Valentine's Day, by the way. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. If you want more details and talk to our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, give Betsy Murphy a phone call at 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. This is Farmers Monday. We're visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA, a world-class tactical training center, a place where you can have a custom rifle built for you, down there in Lebanon, Missouri. Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. The telephone number is 417-718-2597. Sam, I concur with your analysis when it comes to the being aggressive and doing good work in Washington, D.C. The Gun Owners of America stands head and shoulders above the NRA, which has been known to compromise way too much and way too frequently for decades. We got a caller on hold here, Sam. We got Ty in Texas. Good morning, Ty.
Good morning, gentlemen. I have an optics question for you, Sam, but a couple real quick things first. John, are you aware of, and Sam, the book series that Barry Sadler authored?
I am. I didn't know Barry, but I knew guys that knew Barry Sadler, and they told me, John, all he wanted to do is sit around and play that guitar. The Casca series, and of course, Barry had an untimely end, and he probably was an alcoholic, but I'm familiar with the series.
Okay, well, great. And everybody out there, it's a great series. You want to check it out. Another real quick thing regarding cleaning firearms and using Q-tips. Most of you guys out there probably don't know this, but there's a whole separate line of Q-tips that women use for applying their makeup, mascara, that kind of thing, and they are very, very good to replace with your other Q-tips. They don't leave the cotton deposits quite as bad because they're wrapped very tightly, and they're shaped different on each end. One end looks kind of like a paddle, and the other is a comb, a very fine-tipped comb. So great little tool to add to your cleaning kit. But, Sam, I wanted to ask you, sir, without overspending, but, of course, staying in proper quality line, what can you say and recommend regarding binoculars to go along with you on your hunt or to have to glass in general?
Okay, so it used to be guys would go hunting with binoculars and a scope with a crosshair. Then guys started hunting with binoculars and mil dots on their crosshair so they could range with. Then laser rangefinders came out. Then laser rangefinding binoculars came out. And since it's unethical when you're hunting to look at something through your rifle scope before glassing it with a non-weapon system like a binocular, and we don't like to carry extra weight when we're hunting, particularly in the mountains, I would highly recommend the new Vortex rangefinder that will range to 5,000 yards on a reflective target. This is a binocular rangefinder combination item, and unlike the Bushnell binocular rangefinders, which are $100 less, you can actually get a lifetime warranty on the Vortex unit. We've sold a number of the Bushnell ARC 1 mile rangefinders, and we've had several of them. The electronics have crapped out on them in less than a year and a half, and they only warranted them for a year, and Bushnell wouldn't do anything for the customer. And we've gotten away from those products, and we've gone to this new Vortex binocular rangefinder. Costs around $1,000 on sale or on the internet if you find a good price. And it is a great binocular. It is a great rangefinder, the best in its class. I've ranged non-reflective targets to 2,000 yards with it, and costs less than $1,200, and it has a lifetime warranty. And I think that is really tough to beat in today's market.
Perfect. Thank you very much for taking the call.
Thank you, Ty. Good to hear your voice.
Okay, thank you, Ty. This technology and how quickly it's advancing is, we commented about this, you and I, before, Sam, but if you don't pay attention for 90 days, you're behind the curve, aren't you?
I think most of the time, new products come out in 80 to 90-day cycles, and you really have to be paying attention if you're looking for something state-of-the-art. Now, we tell people don't buy tomorrow's technology today. You'll pay too much money for it. Just wait a little bit and wait till the items are proven when they've been tested and proven. But, this binocular rangefinder with a lifetime warranty is pretty tough to beat.
It is. It is. We had a break. Call numbers 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. The Ozark Hobby Farm in my neighborhood, all set up and ready to go. It is still for sale. We've had some very interested parties. Nobody's stepped to the plate yet, so that's still available. Right there in the middle of my homepage. Just scroll down a little bit in the middle, and you'll see. We're going to get some more photographs up, by the way. And right next to that, a very large cave with some acreage right next to that for sale as well, if you're interested in such a thing. Also, my website, if you have arthritis pain, I've got something that'll help you, something I use every night. That would be the energy cleaner. That's what it would be. If you have arthritis pain, quite simply, you need an energy cleaner. Joint pain, back pain, the same thing. If you had surgery, you want to heal up more quickly and have less scar tissue, it's visible. Energy cleaner will help that as well. You want to sleep as well as a small child every night like I do? Once again, you need an energy cleaner. $285 shipping included. The mattress pads that go with it, they do vary in price depending on what you need. I've got everything in stock, ready for immediate shipment. Twin size pads, full, queen, king, California king, the handy travel size that I use when I'm traveling. Sometimes when I'm working, I'll put it on the chair. You should educate yourself on the energy cleaner right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Read the wonderful testimonials. You can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. Send me a check. My address is at my website. And keep in mind the following. I personally guarantee these products, this energy cleaner, with a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. That's what I do personally. Toll-free our line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. This is Farmers Monday, visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. If you have a question about the training, about the rifles he builds, give him a call at 417-718-2597. This morning we're going to begin a new segment of Firearms Monday. Sam's going to have a weekly discussion about some of the masters of precision marksmanship. And Sam, pick up the ball and run with it, sir.
Well, I think it would be a great thing to pay respects to a lot of the men that contributed unique things to the firearms industry and to the American firearm culture and to the technology that we now use and have today. And this week's Master's Moment, the master is Harold Vaughn. Harold Vaughn is somebody, if you want to look at a heroic American, this guy is somebody you want to research. A lot of people don't know who Harold Vaughn is. Harold Vaughn did a number of things for our country in service to our country. Technically, he's one of the brightest men that's ever walked the planet. And the things that I'm familiar with, I met Harold Vaughn out at Sandia National Lab years and years ago. Harold was running a crew of mathematicians and engineers and physicists that were developing a 6 Degrees of Freedom math program to calculate the trajectories of the ICBM missiles. And they did a great job. And that math formula became, obviously was compartmented. But people say, okay, well, what did Harold Vaughn do for rifle accuracy or for the gun industry or for the gun culture in America? Well, all of you guys with phone apps that have 4 degrees of freedom trajectory calculators and 6 degrees of freedom trajectory formulas to help you with your long-range trajectory estimations, all of those phone apps, all of that math was originally developed by Harold Vaughn. And the other thing that Harold Vaughn should be famous for is that he wrote the greatest book on rifle accuracy ever written. He wrote a book called Rifle Accuracy Facts. And to my knowledge, it has not been reprinted. It sells for over $100 a copy if you can find one. But it is the finest technical work ever done on what makes a rifle accurate. And he did a fantastic job with the book. And my experience with Harold Vaughn, his most unique talent, and if you read his book, you'll see what I'm talking about. Harold Vaughn had a gift. He had a gift for creating an inexpensive, simple experiment to prove something one way or the other. And I'll give you an example. We were trying to figure out how to calculate the RPM of a bullet as it flew. We could easily calculate how the bullet lost velocity as it pushed its way through the atmosphere. What we couldn't easily calculate was how it lost RPM. And Harold, the genius that he is, decided to insert a steel magnetic chip into the nose of a bullet and then run multiple Hall effect pickups in a line. And then we shot the bullet past these Hall effect pickups at the muzzle and then again at 600 yards at the target. And through that mechanism, we were able to calculate the RPM loss, or the loss in revolutions per minute of that bullet over 600 yards of flight. And just the inexpensive way he figured out how to do that, I just marveled at the guy.
Well, the book is available on Amazon, used copies for $140, used copies. New copies, $491. So the book is available if you want to bite, so to speak, bite the bullet and spend the money.
Yeah, but if you're a guy that's interested in truly great Americans that have contributed so much, that are never talked about on the media, particularly in the gun culture, Harold Vaughn is a great man to research. My Lord, what this man has contributed to the security of the United States of America, and never gotten credit for it. A humble man. I guess he's 92 now, if he's still alive. But what an amazing human being to research and learn about. And we all stand on the shoulders of giants. And in the rifle accuracy world, I considered Harold Vaughn the biggest and one of the most important giants we could talk about.
Well, here's the introduction on Amazon. The author, who spent his career studying trajectories of nuclear missiles and artillery shells, wrote this work after becoming dissatisfied with the accuracy of commercial rifles. Through years of research, he examined a variety of gunsmithing and handloading issues in search of the ultimate in rifle accuracy, including barrel receiver joint motion, barrel vibration and rigidity, chamber and throat design, case neck tension, and bullet imbalance.
Yeah, that's a great summary of some of the technical issues in the book. And in the vein of him creating a fantastic test for very little money to prove a concept one way or the other, let's talk about the barrel to receiver joint of the modern rifle. Typically, the barrel is stainless steel or chromoly steel, about 30 Rockwell on the C scale. That's the hardness of it. The action has to be much harder to handle modern ammunition. So it has to be 42 to 44 Rockwell on the C scale so that the action lugs don't set back from the pressure of the round being discharged. So you always have a joint. You have this soft steel joining the hard steel. Well, interestingly enough, in a modern rifle, typically the scope is on the receiver, not on the barrel. So if the barrel moves within the joint of the action, the point of aim changes. In most modern rifles, that's exactly what happens. And so Harold proved that there was movement in the threaded joint of a barrel and receiver by putting a scope on the barrel, putting a scope on the action, and sighting them both into exactly the same point, and then firing the gun. And after the shot, the scope on the barrel was pointed at a different spot than the scope on the action.
All right. And what's been the consequence of that methodology that he proved there?
Well, what we did as engineers was my company developed a way to thread barrels where there was no movement in the joint. And it was Harold's book that led me to do a bunch of research on how to make that happen.
Who besides yourself is doing this, Sam?
Nobody that I know of. I mean, it's a proprietary thing for us. It's a very important competitive advantage. It's why our semi-auto rifles can shoot under a quarter of a minute of accuracy.
Well, and for those who don't know, that means a quarter of a minute means 100 yards, 1/4 inch. All the bullets would hit within that 1/4 inch circle.
Yeah, John, we built a prototype heavy barrel 50 cal semi-auto sniper weapon system and tested it on Wednesday of this week. Shot it for the first time. And this is a sub-half minute rifle in semi-auto 50 cal. And just for example, a Barrett 107 semi-auto shoots about 2 MOA. This rifle shot 3/8 of a minute in the first test with no tuning of the hand load.
Well, you had some of the pieces of that rifle being worked on when I was there last time. You got it all together. It obviously is very accurate. And what about the reliability factor?
Well, it's extremely reliable because what we've done is we've changed the gas system and we've slowed everything down. So now the bolt unlocks later. There's less pressure on the extractor. There's less pressure on the recoil system. There's less recoil felt by the shooter. And the other thing that we've done, a couple other unique things. We've got some aluminum heat sink technology on the barrel, and we've made an adjustable gas system for different pressure ammo. And then the last thing that we've done is we've created a system where almost no flash comes out of a 50 BMG. And there's a nighttime video on Freedom Center Facebook page showing the gun being fired in the dark. You won't believe the lack of flash when this weapon is fired.
Well, seeing a 50 go off at night is quite an event, and typically, and to have that reduced and almost done away with would be phenomenal, and apparently you've accomplished that.
Yes, we have. I mean, this is a game changer. Normally, when you fire a 50 cal with a brake on it, it better have a brake on it if you're going to shoulder fire it. When you fire a 50 cal with a brake on it, you get 3 to 5 foot flames come out each side of the brake, and you can see those flames in the dark. But this particular weapon, we put a 50 lumen light on the rifle system back near the shooter, so it's dark. You can hardly even see the last half of the barrel. It's so dark, and there is almost no flash at all come out of this weapon.
Well, that cartridge was developed by John Moses Browning, and right at about a century ago, and is still in daily use by Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines in Afghanistan, Iraq, and plus elsewhere deployed, isn't it?
Absolutely. I would say 90% of the men that I talk to that have been over in the sandbox and seen action in firefights will tell you the two favorite weapons are the Ma Deuce, which is a full auto 50 cal machine gun, 50 BMG machine gun, and the Mark 19, which is the grenade launcher. Those are the two weapons that are preferred by guys that are in firefights over in the Middle East. Absolutely, and I certainly can understand that. Well, the rifle that you're building and testing, is this going to be available for sale to the public? It absolutely will be, and you know there's quite a delay. So if you want one of these rifles built, you need to give me a call and understand you're probably going to wait 6 to 7 months for this rifle to be finished. It is not a simple thing to get the collection of parts. It's based on a Serbu action, and it's a fantastic piece of equipment. Mark Serbu is a genius out of Tampa, Florida. He's a great guy, has a great company, and we use some of his parts in our system. We've got a different barrel, different trigger system, a little bit of changes there, and we totally different gas system and brake and suppressor. But if you want to suppress 50 cal, that is the softest shooting. I mean, a 130-pound person can shoot this gun and keep control of it. Its recoil is that soft. That doesn't flash. You want to be able to fight with a 50 at night. This new system is a complete, total game changer. It certainly sounds like it. So what's the overall length and the weight of this rifle? 56 3/4 inches with a 32-inch barrel. I guess the standard Servus come with a 26. But with a 32-inch barrel, it's like 56 3/4 without the suppressor mounted with the brake installed. And the weight of the gun with the brake, the suppressor, and the rifle and a magazine is about 34 pounds. All right. Well, it's obviously a large, heavy piece of equipment that serves very specialized purposes, doesn't it? This rifle is for hard target interdiction. This rifle is made for stopping vehicles. This is the real market niche of the 50 BMG, is to be able to shut down a vehicle with one shot. And of course, the original design of that cartridge a century ago was as an anti-tank weapon. Of course, the armor a century ago on tanks was much lighter than it is now. But it is, in fact, the original purpose of that cartridge, isn't it? It was the original purpose. Modern armor prevents the 50 from stopping a tank, but it will stop light armored vehicles, and it will stop aircraft. It will do a lot of damage to a lot of things, and it is absolutely the weapon to have if things go bad and you actually have some long-range skills as a shooter. Absolutely. Now, what kind of optics are going to be recommended for this rifle? There's only two options that I would consider: a 5 to 25 Night Force ATAC-R, or a 7 to 35 Night Force ATAC-R in second focal plane. I wouldn't consider any other scope. Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 8th. Yes, it is the 18th of November. Visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there is 417-718-2597. Well, I guess the question in some of our listeners' minds is, what's the cost of this beautiful 50 cal rifle going to be? Well, the Barrett 107 is around $14,000, and I think this system here is going to be around $12,500. So it will be $1,500 less than the Barrett 107. It will have a better magazine length to it. it will be 4 times as accurate, and it will be softer shooting than the Barrett 107, and it will have considerably more reliable extraction.
Now, for those who don't know, the Barrett 107 is a 50 cal semi-automatic rifle, correct?
Yes, the 107A is something that our military's had a contract with Barrett for a while, and this thing absolutely smokes the Barrett in every respect, including price and reliability.
Well, it sounds like a win-win situation to me for people that have that need and have the budget to meet that. Now, that's without a scope or with a scope, that $12,000?
That's without a scope.
Okay. So the scope, let's say on top here, will add about how much to the cost?
The 5 to 25 ATAC-R is around $2,700. The 7 to 35, which is a little more optical magnification, gets you a little over $3,000 for the optics. But if you're serious about defending your community, every community ought to have 3 or 4 of these with men who know how to use them. And so I would highly recommend you take a look at this system. You can just about buy one of these and this sub-half-minute accuracy and a scope for less than you can buy the Barrett 107 with no scope.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, that's this rifle, this is something that you engineered and developed yourself.
Well, Mark Serbu designed the action, the bolt, and the lug system. What we did was go to a slightly different barrel to receiver joint, slightly different piston system, different gas system, aluminum sink capability on the barrel so it doesn't get hot as quickly, and change the gas system so to delay the opening of the action. And then, of course, all the accuracy things that we do for our custom weapon systems we applied to this 50. And, the Barrett is a 2-minute rifle. The Serbus have been around 1 minute, and this system is easily under half a minute with the right ammunition.
Well, incredible accuracy, to say the least. I would personally, I'm no bench rest shooter or expert, but it sounds like you're approaching bench rest quality accuracy. Is that would be a fair statement?
Well, we're trying, and we're close.
Hold that thought.
We'll never achieve.
Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Jared Moore here, our second hour on Monday, the 18th of November. Prep tip of the day. There's a book I read over the weekend. Excellent book. The author appears to know some of the folks that I know and we talk about here on our show, Steve Quayle, Dave Hodges, and others. The book has 197 footnotes. It is a novel, and it has to do with the spiritual nature of the battle that we are involved in and will soon be engaged in much more dramatic fashion. The title of the book is Things Are Not As They Seem. I say again, Things Are Not As They Seem. The author is Mr. Daniel Holdings. Mr. Daniel Holdings. Great book, and I highly recommend it. About 390 pages. I read it over the weekend. This is Firearms Monday. We're visiting with Mr. Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Well, Sam, you're living your dream down there in Lebanon, building a world-class tactical training center. You have your machine shop set up where you do precision machine work, building rifles, repairing rifles, and modifying rifles to be better than they were before. Well, congratulations, sir, because you are, in fact, living your dream, aren't you?
I really am, and I have a lot of men to thank for that. Rick Brown and Bo Allenstein and Dwayne Denny and Mark Mark Westcott, Evan Westcott. These are men that have helped me incredibly with time and resources and effort and sweat and blood to make this thing a reality. And it really is coming along. We are actually looking this week at the top of what will be our tower. We're going to build a 100-foot base and then put an additional 60-foot tower on top. We found a tower, and we've just got to figure out how to take it apart and move it to the Freedom Center, and we'll be on our way.
All right. Well, I know you're in the process between now and the end of the year of determining the training schedule, which is going to be worked around the competition schedule. What's the progress on that situation?
Well, I can tell you this. Our last long-range rifle course of the year will be the last day of November and the first day of December. So that'll be the last introduction to long-range shooting. If you have a rifle with an optic, a scope, that's 10 power or greater and it has a parallax minimization feature, and you have some match-grade boat tail ammo, and you want to learn how to shoot at long range, this is the class to take. Then on the very next weekend, I believe that would be December 7th and 8th, we're having the last competition of the year, the Freedom Center Rifle Championships, and there'll be a 1,000-yard bench rest competition for small group, a 1,000-yard bench rest competition for score, and then a tactical match, a steel tactical match for tactical riflemen. And there will be prizes on the table. Last year, I think the prize table for the 3 champions, I think there was a handgun, there was a suppressor, and there was cash. And so when the 3 champions were awarded their prizes, we had them draw from a deck of cards to see who get to go to the prize table and choose their prize first.
All right. Now tell me, on that 1,000-yard range, are there wind indicators other than the natural trees, for example, that are between the firing line and the 1,000-yard targets?
We try not to put them out there. We try and have anything that is not natural not on the range. We want men to develop tactical level wind reading skills. And so they have a choice of a spotting scope, a rifle scope, the grass, the trees, the leaves, the dust, the insects, the birds.
Well, on my range, I only have a 125-yard range, and I've got wind indicators at every 25 yards, and it's amazing to see wind at 25 yards, no wind at 50, and then more wind again at 100 yards. And I'm sure the same thing exists out at 1,000.
Yes, in the advanced classes, not in the first class. We do teach basic wind reading in the first class, but in the advanced classes, we get into something called a weighted wind average to deal with that exact scenario. What happens when you have the wind blowing one direction at 100 and 200 and blowing the other direction at 600 and 700? What do you do? And it's a very complex matter that we simplify. We make it simple. We give people a weighted wind average methodology. It's a little more math intensive than your typical wind reading, your basic wind reading. But once you pick it up, it's extremely effective and allows you to make first round hits as far as 2,000 yards if your weapon system will fly that far.
Well, I know the military has downgraded and changed the instruction for snipers to get more snipers to be able to pass the course because there is a lot there. It's not just being a trigger puller. There's a lot of mathematics and knowledge that goes into precision marksmanship, aren't there?
Well, the farther you shoot out, the more tools you need in your toolbox. So if you're shooting to 300 yards, an accurate rifle with a good scope and the maximum point blank range 0 will work fine for you. Now, you get out past 300 yards, and you start to need some basic wind reading skills. You need to know where does your rifle hit when it's cold versus where it hits when it's hot, that type of thing. You get up past 800 yards, and all of a sudden you need to understand relative air density effects, temperature, humidity, that sort of thing. You need to put that in your toolbox. You've got to understand yaw of repose, or what they call spin drift. There's some other things. And then when you get out past 1,200 yards, you can add what we call the Coriolis effect, earth-based effects that impact where your bullet is actually going to hit on the target. And you need to add that to your toolbox. And you also need a weapon system that is extraordinarily accurate to shoot past 1,200 yards. So each little segment you increase the distance you want to shoot, you need extra tools to be effective.
Of course, those men and women who think the Earth is flat don't need to worry about the Coriolis effect, do they?
No, if you're a flat Earth shooter and shooting north, okay, you're just going to hit right farther and farther the farther out you shoot. The bullet's just going to hit farther and farther right, and you're not going to understand why. It's going to be hard for you.
I was approached by a flat Earth believer on this show about 3 years ago. He had about 20 or 30 seconds, and I cut him off and I said, "You're not going to be on this radio show anymore." It's amazing how otherwise bright people get caught up in this, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, you could talk to any jet pilot that's been above 40,000 feet. You can see the curve of the Earth from 44,000 feet. Anybody that's been above 40,000 can see it. The other interesting thing is I saw the other day on Facebook a picture of the solar system from afar. So imagine yourself out where Pluto might be orbiting the sun and taking a photograph, and it showed around Jupiter, around Saturn, a tiny little dot for Mercury, and then this flat blade called Earth. And I almost spit my coffee on my keyboard. I laughed so hard.
No kidding.
Yeah, every heavenly body is round. Mm-hmm. Everything we can see in our galaxy and our universe is round. These people that think the Earth is flat, I just ask them, "Will you take me to the edge and show me the edge, please?" And they come up with all kinds of crazy things to say to me. "Well, that's guarded by the government. You can't go to the edge." And I'm
right.
Like, well, it sounds like you've already gone to the edge of insanity is what it sounds like to me.
Right. No, I don't want to eat a bunch of airtime on silliness, but it is kind of an interesting distraction. Well, Sam, the Freedom Center USA, I do want to be in that next. Now that's entry level precision marksmanship. This next one coming up
is November 30th and December 1st.
November 30th and December 1st. Well, put me on the list. I'm going to make sure my calendar is clear. My gunsmith is making some minor actually fairly heavy modifications to my precision rifle. But I believe it will be ready by then. At least that's I'll talk to him today and make sure. We're upgrading the stock. There's a new stock that's been introduced, and I'm making one of the modifications you suggested. So hopefully that'll be ready to go by that weekend.
Yeah, make sure you have a bipod and a rear bag. I've got the ammo here for you that you pre-ordered, so you should be good to go, and we've got you a slot in the class.
Outstanding. Well, I'm going to upgrade my hearing protection also to get a more of a slim fit hearing protection, and I'm looking forward to it because when you're in this kind of class, you dig things out you haven't looked at for a while, at least myself, and make sure everything is squared away, ready to go. Maybe make upgrades as necessary, and it's all a win-win situation, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. And with the new firing line, the way it's set up now, it's just a great place to go out and shoot for a day. There's nothing like it in the Midwest. It's just a wonderful place to be. I've spent the last several days testing rifles. So the good weather this past week, I had a whole batch of barrels go off to the night riders, So we've been assembling and testing, and I have just so enjoyed being out on the firing line with the sun shining and a light breeze and just playing in the wind and seeing what these rifles are do. Our first 260 improved semi-auto AR-10 shot a third of a minute at 300 yards in windy conditions. So I can't wait to see what that rifle does under ideal conditions. I'll post some pictures on the Facebook page when we get the chance to shoot it under ideal conditions.
Outstanding. Well, as I said before, and this is radio, there's people who haven't heard me make this statement before. I qualified expert in U.S. Army with the rifle. I'm an NRA certified firearms instructor, including rifle instruction. I've competed with rifles, and I know that my skills are not where I want them to be, even though I'm better than probably 95% of the men who own a rifle. I'm not satisfied with that. That's why I'm going to be at this class the last weekend of this month and improve my skills. And I want to encourage other men to, and women as well, as far as that goes, to stop and think a moment about where their skills are and where they would like them to be, and hopefully not be satisfied with less than perfection. What do you think, Sam?
I think a continuous improvement mindset is key to something like precision rifle shooting, and I would encourage people, do not be afraid to take a class. This is a relaxed environment. It's not sniper training. We're not going to drag you through the mud and make you shoot your rifle with mud all over your gun and yourself. You're going to be in a heated classroom. You're going to be out on a comfortable range in the shade. We're going to transfer knowledge to you in a way that you couldn't possibly imagine, and your skills are going to grow 10x in 2 days. This class is the most important thing that you could do for yourself as an American rifleman. And you will be a different shooter when you leave than when you came. Your skills will be so much higher than they were. We're going to teach you how to control barrel harmonics. We're going to teach you how to deal with horizontal dispersion, vertical dispersion. We're going to teach you how to synchronize the ocular lens to the parallax knob of your scope, something most people don't know how to do. We're going to show you different shooting positions. We're going to show you how to integrate your reticle to your trajectory of your weapon system. We're going to teach you about relative air density and how to make changes. You will have so much more confidence past 300 yards than you ever dreamed of. This class is the one to take.
The majority of men and women who own a rifle with a scope on it don't have a clue what you were just talking about. They don't.
And that's why they need to take the class.
Exactly. I have neighbors that have been hunters for decades, and they don't know that there's even a difference between an entry-level scope and a world-class scope. That it's just, to them, it's just a scope, and they don't even know there's a difference, other than price, and they don't know why the price would be any higher for one scope than another. Maybe their grandfather recommended a Leopold, for example. But other than that recommendation from a well-meaning father or grandfather, they don't have a clue. And point being, this is where Freedom Center USA is where you go to get real answers from real experts, real training from real experts, and develop real skills from experts. And that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the way we train people is we make it simple. It sounds complicated on the radio. It sounds complicated when you read it in a book. But when you come to the class, we simplify everything. It's not complicated. You do one simple thing at a time, and that's the road to success. And in long-range shooting, we make it simple, and we transfer knowledge, and you leave with that knowledge, and you leave with tremendous confidence. And that's the real key, is that you learn the right way to do it the first time. You learn the simplest way to do it, the most effective way to do it, and it makes sense, and you understand, and your confidence just soars after the class. You know you can hit something at 500-600 yards after the class. You don't have to think you might or guess that you might. You know that you can put a bullet there.
And that gives confidence that's based on reality, as opposed to being confident that you can do something just because you own high quality equipment. That's a false confidence. It's based on something that may or may not work. But confidence based on reality of being on the range, getting professional, high quality instruction, and then seeing the results. That's where it's at. We got a break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Jared Moore here on Monday, the 18th of November. We are going on a cruise. What a great time to be away from the ice, the snow, the slop, the cold weather. Second week of February. Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, that's as good as it gets. There's 20 restaurants on this ship. How about that? You could literally have a meal at a different restaurant every day. It would be quite an experience, and it will be quite an experience. I hope you can go with us. The details are at my website at thelibertyman.com. There's still cabins available. Our cruise director would be glad to talk to you about this, mail you a full-color brochure. Our cruise director is Betsy Murphy. Her telephone is 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Sam, it's such a common thing for men to believe they have skills they don't, to believe that because they own a good quality firearm with possibly a good quality optics on top of it, that's all they need, and nothing could be further from the truth, could it?
On the deer hunter, the guy that's shot in a bench rest match, those are all great experiences, and they're valuable experiences. But if you want to be prepared for what's coming to this country in the near term, you're going to need some more skills. You're going to need a little bit different equipment. You're going to need to start thinking logistically rather than tactically. You're going to have to do both. And it's important that you realize that you make a decision that this country is worth fighting for, that we're not going to let this thing devolve into a socialistic, elitist rule, and we're going to defend our way of life. And once you've made that decision, it's pretty easy to find the motivation to start making some small changes.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Absolutely. If you got a question or comment, this is Firearms Money. The call number is 800-313-9443. Now, because of time and expense, a lot of people can't travel to Lebanon, Missouri for training. But there is as far as entry level, there is the Appleseed Project, which has training in most of the 50 states. Cost is minimal. It's, I think, good quality entry-level training for people just wanting to get started. In addition, they give a lesson in history of the United States around the Revolutionary War period. Wherever people can get good quality training, they need to be getting it, don't they?
Yeah, another place to get some low-cost experience is to shoot some three-gun matches. You know, certain types of rifle competitions or gun competitions are more useful to tactical skills than others. The three-gun competitions are good stuff. You learn how to shoot a pistol, you learn how to shoot an AR-15, you learn how to pick up a shotgun and work that shotgun at different targets under a little bit of time pressure. The matches don't cost an arm and a leg, and you get to shoot different courses of fire during the day. It's a wonderful way to get really valuable experience. You can get trained at your range. You can shoot three-gun matches. You can go practice on your own and look at some YouTube videos of Rob Latham teaching pistol skills or other people teaching tactical skills. There's good stuff out there, and in Inspector Zero, this guy's got some great videos out there. If you want to learn a little bit about how to tactically handle firearms, this guy's pretty skilled. I've watched him, and he's as good as just about anybody with a handgun. And so if you want a model of someone to copy or emulate, look at Instructor or Inspector Zero, whatever his name is. You can look him up on YouTube and just watch this guy move. Watch how he operates. Watch how he draws. Look at his footwork. It's immaculate. And study these guys that have real skills. If you can't afford to take classes and go out and travel and shoot competitions, study some people on YouTube. You've got that available to you.
Well, here's Inspector Zero. One of his videos has had 9,582,000 plus views. Yeah. There's quite a few there, videos from Instructor Zero. And just being at one of these, or one or more of these matches, even without being a competitor, you're going to learn a lot, aren't you?
Oh, you could go and watch a match. You don't even have to spend money and shoot. Just take a couple hours and go watch some of the experts shoot in a three-gun match. And look at how their footwork works. Look at how they operate their gun. Watch them do magazine changes. And if you watch the best shooters in the world, you're going to learn something. You even if you don't even realize you've learned something, you're going to learn something.
Absolutely. Well, that's good. It's a good hint for people too. And these three-gun shoots, they happen all over the country, don't they?
They're all over the United States. And if you're out west, look at a place like Gunsight to train. If you're in the Midwest, come to the Freedom Center. If you're on the East Coast, Operational Tactics does first-class training. You've got Front Sight, which I think even advertises on this show. And, you've got so many options where you can find real quality instruction. There's really no excuse not to unless you just haven't got the cash. Then it's time to hit YouTube and watch some pros operate and see what you can figure out.
There you go. We got a break. We'll be right back.
Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 18th of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We have a project. We're starting our fourth year in January of locating images of continents with different coastlines, new coastlines, and TV shows and movies. We're way past 24 now, images of continents with new coastlines on TV shows and movies. And it's phenomenal. Now, this has been going on since the 1950s, and you can be part of it. If you find an image of a continent with a different coastline, a new coastline, a TV show or a movie, get that screen capture to me. You get your choice of any of my 6 DVDs as a thank you. It's a lot of fun. Need to keep moving this forward. Also, my website, of course. If you have arthritis pain, what are you waiting for? It's not going to fix itself. get yourself an energy cleaner. I help people all over the planet. If you already have your energy cleaner and you got your life back, you have somebody you know, maybe a sibling, maybe a parent or an adult child that really needs an energy cleaner. What a great Christmas gift, energy cleaner and a mattress pad to go with it. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. You can send me a check. My address is there. You can call my toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. This is Firearms Monday, visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. The telephone number is 417-718-2597. Well, Sam, the training you provide, I have no doubt whatsoever, is going to save a lot of lives and help protect freedom. And that's why we talk about this every Monday for 2 hours. It is so foundational and so important. Riflemen helped this country become free in 1776. And it looks like riflemen will once again step up to the plate and defend freedom and liberty once again, doesn't it?
They sure will. And I think the socialists, they're actually elitists that are masquerading as socialists that want to reduce the planet's population and take control with technology. They believe that they're going to achieve eternal life through technology. We as Christian men believe that we're going to achieve eternal life through our Savior Jesus Christ and through God's grace. And so we kind of differ on that. And there's going to come a point where we're going to be killing elitists and socialists to protect our way of life and to protect what's right and what's good. And it's really smart to be prepared for that, because once things kind of break loose, logistical items like guns, firearms, spare parts, thermal sights, 50 BMGs, and armor-piercing ammo, all that kind of stuff just kind of disappears from the planet. It's very difficult to find. So being ready ahead of time makes a huge difference.
Now, most of the men and women listening to us do have some kind of centerfire rifle, but almost none of them have spare parts, which would be firing pins, ejectors, and springs. Now, if they call up the Freedom Center, they can have a custom kit put together for their specific rifle, can't they?
If it's a common tactical rifle, we probably have parts in stock. We can send them. If it's something that's not common, then we can point them in a direction where they can make a phone call or go online and buy a kit.
That's very helpful, and I encourage everybody to do that. We got a caller and holder. We got Kyle in Montana. Good morning, Kyle. Well, we lost Kyle. Kyle, you can call back if you do, if you feel like it. The call number is 800-313-9443. Well, spare parts right now are inexpensive, easy to get, and what a shame to have the rifle you intend to defend your family's lives with to become useless because of a broken spring, a $1 spring, or a $2 firing pin. What a shame that would be. We got a caller on hold here. We got Ron in Idaho. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, man. I have a quick question. If you could answer. I have wondered for some time if perfect conditions, you shoot a rifle, say a mile or mile and a half, the trajectory and the accuracy of it, if you shoot northward, eastward, southward, and westward, is there a change in the trajectory and the accuracy?
Yes. The short answer is yes.
How much of a variance is there?
Well, let's say you're shooting at a mile, okay? 1,760 yards. And let's say you're shooting a 50 BMG with a 750 AMAX. You're going to have some gyroscopic effects. You're going to have some earth-based effects. here's the problem. The gyroscopic effects cause your bullet to drift right. So if you're shooting north, the Earth, your target is rotating to the right. So the target is going to rotate in the direction your bullet is drifting from the gyroscopic effects. So you're going to have less point of impact shift when you're shooting north because of yaw of repose. It follows the target to some degree, depending on the weapon and the spin rate of the bullet and that type of thing. When you're shooting south, the opposite occurs. The target is moving to the left as the bullet is flying, and your gyroscopic precession effects are causing the bullet to drift right, so you will get your greatest disparity in point of impact horizontally when you're shooting south with a right-hand twist barrel. When you're shooting east, the target is falling, so the bullet will hit high. When you're shooting west, the target is actually rising, so you tend to hit low. And the degree that you hit low, high, left, or right depends on where you are on the planet. So if you're on the equator, these effects are greater. If you're on the edge of the Arctic Circle, these effects become less. And so you have to know your longitude, your latitude, the azimuth of your fire, the spin rate of your bullet, the precession effects, and this is why we use computers for a firing solution when we shoot past 1,500 yards.
The variance would be maybe a half inch of the target hit, or what?
Oh, no, more than a foot.
Oh, wow, that much. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it'll cause an airball miss. Yeah, it's not an inch or two. It's a couple of feet to yards, depending on how long the shot is and how fast your bullet is flying and that sort of thing.
So a hunter out in the woods needs to know whether he's shooting north, south, east, or west.
You have to know the exact azimuth. For example, if you're shooting northeast, your bullet is going to hit high, and it's going to tend to hit left. If you're shooting southwest, the opposite. And so you have to know the exact azimuth, and you have to have some very sophisticated math to get an accurate firing solution. And you have to know a lot about your trajectory, your bullet, your spin rate, and the gyroscopic precession effects that will either add or subtract to what's happening from Earth-based effects. And you also need to know the vertical component of wind drift to put into that equation. So there's a lot going on there.
Wow.
How about that?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Ron. We appreciate it. We got Kyle back. Kyle from Montana. Go ahead, sir.
To follow up a little bit on the previous caller, you're talking about yardages that are quite a bit beyond 500, correct, Sam?
Yes. So let's take a 308 cartridge as an example, and let's quantify it. Let's be really specific. So at 600 yards, in a 10-mile-an-hour full-value crosswind, which means the wind is blowing 90 degrees to the path of the bullet, the wind will cause the average boat tail bullet, or the 118 military long-range ammo, which is a 175 grain Sierra boat tail, it will cause that bullet to drift objectively about 26 inches on the target. Now, that can grow a couple inches or shrink a few inches based on the altitude and the air density. But a 10-mile-an-hour wind will cause the bullet to shift 26 inches at 600 yards. Now, we add on a left to right wind, we're blown 26 inches to the right, we're going to have to add 2.5 inches of yaw of repose, or what some laymen call spin drift. So you could be easily 29 inches right. If the wind's blowing left to right, you could be 23 inches left if the wind's blowing from right to left, because when the wind's blowing right to left, it it counteracts the effect of the spin drift, or the spin drift counteracts the effect of the wind drift. They're opposing each other, so you get less total movement. When the wind's blowing left to right, the yaw of repose stacks on top of the wind air, so you get more drift. So at 1,000 yards, the spin drift or yaw of repose, same thing, might cause 6 to 7 inches of drift to the right. And that same 10-mile-an-hour wind at 1,000 yards will blow that bullet over 10 feet to the right.
Yeah.
So as you
That's
see,
been my
500 yards, you're dealing with spin drift less than 2 inches, and you're dealing with wind drift under 10 miles an hour, less than 15 inches, 16 inches. But when you get past 600, those numbers start to grow quite dramatically.
Yep, that has been my experience as well. I usually, if it's approximately 500 yards, it'll stay within the kill zone if you know enough about your rifle to hold where it needs to be held. You know, that's been my experience. But the other question, I had a couple other questions, and I don't know if I just missed this because my internet's been cutting in and out today. Just real quickly, what platform is this 260 that you're shooting that amazing group with on?
Well, we've built them on a standard short-action bolt gun platform, and we've built some. We assembled our first AR-10 semi-auto platform this past week, and it shot a third of a minute group at 300. And by the way, this particular cartridge with a 135 A-tip bullet, it has half the wind drift of a 308 at 1,000 yards. So if you're in a 10-mile-an-hour wind with a 308, you're getting blown 10 feet to the right. This particular cartridge only gets blown about 5 feet to the right in the same exact wind. And the other thing that's interesting about this cartridge, it hits with 100 foot-pounds less energy at 100 yards, which isn't much. But at 1,000 yards, it hits with 500 foot-pounds more energy than the 308. And where the 308 goes subsonic at 1,100 yards, this bullet goes subsonic at 1,500 yards. In Montana, probably 1,600 yards.
Wow. And that is the 260 Remington you're talking about, correct?
It's the 260 improved. So it's based on the 260 Remington case. You can shoot a standard 260 in the gun, and then it blows the case out the first time you fire it to this 260 improved shape. And now you have 5 grains more powder capacity and just tremendous velocity and wind bucking and accuracy.
Okay. Thank you. I have one final question real quick, and it's completely a different rabbit trail. John, have you heard anything on any more of these red flag laws working their way through Congress or anything? I'm just curious. I haven't heard hardly anything in the news.
I'm not aware of any at the federal level. At the state levels where the action's been, as far as I know. Sam, how about yourself?
Well, there's a number of red flag laws that are being introduced in at least 15 states. But the interesting thing is, I don't think any of them in the states where they're being introduced have a chance of passing. Places like Missouri and Oklahoma, the Republican state senators are not going to pass a red flag law. They may clear the House in some areas, but they're not going to clear the Senate or get signed into law, that's for sure.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate this. I always love Firearms Monday. And if I had the money, Sam, I would be there at the end of this month. And but trying to travel that far with that much, I wouldn't. I can't do it. But I sure wish I could. I would sure encourage anybody that's within driving distance to go do it.
Hey, Kyle, keep in mind, if you have a bolt-action gun, but you don't have a lot of cash, and it takes a 30-06 round or a 308 round, it has a 480 bolt face, we can re-barrel that gun to a 260 improved very cost-effectively for you.
And then in order just to get quite a bit of brass following up on that, so is the only way to actually, is there a place where a guy could get like 3 or 4 or 500 rounds of 260 improved brass already formed?
We could form it for you, or you could just buy standard 260. You can shoot standard 260 in the chamber, and then if you're a reloader, we can sell you a 260 improved die and seating dies that work with both, so you're in good shape.
Excellent. That's very. And just for curiosity, I have a Ruger 30-06 regular stainless that is I've talked about before on the show. It's extremely accurate in 30-06 with 180 grain boat tail bullet. Or I think that's what I was shooting. It's been a while since I've done it, but anyway. If that is that accurate, would you still suggest going to that 260? Because literally, I did hit, and I've got witnesses, a 12 by 18 inch steel target, 5 out of 7 times once it was zeroed in at 1,000 yards.
Well, and here's the question.
Hold that thought. Hold the answer. We got a break. We got a break. We'll be right back, Sam.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back. Sam, go ahead and continue with your answer there, sir.
So the question was, does it make sense to rebarrel my 30-06 or my 308 to a higher performance 260 improved cartridge? And so here's my answer. If you are shooting 500 yards or less 99% of the time, and you have less than 1,200 rounds fired on your barrel, it does not make sense. I would not spend the money. If you are looking for the capability to make first-round hits in variable wind conditions past 600 yards on live targets that you're trying to kill, the 260 is an enormous advantage. It hits with 400 to 500 foot-pounds more energy than the 30-06 at 1,000 yards, and its wind deflection is half. In other words, if you make a wind reading air of 2 miles an hour with the 30-06, you'll miss your target by 2 feet. If you make that same wind reading air with the 260 improved, you'll miss your target by less than a foot, and you'll probably hit the target if it's a game animal. So that kind of, I hope helps. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does help. I'm just curious, so what would a rebarreling in that cartridge approximately, I realize it could depend, but what would it approximately cost?
Well, do you want flutes or no flutes? Do you want it threaded for a suppressor or don't you?
Probably not. Probably, if I was going to do it, I would spend the money and get it right. I would probably have a suppressor and fluted.
Okay, so if you're going to flute and suppress the gun, The barrel, to get it rebarreled, is probably going to be around $850 plus shipping.
Okay. All right.
Now keep in mind,
that's a lot of that's a lot of work.
Well, we're talking German steel, nitrided barrel, threaded and fluted. Now, if you're not going to do the threads and flutes, you're down to about $600. So, but you still get the nitriding.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, John. I won't keep.
Okay.
I know you're winding down here, so
We are. Kyle,
have a
thank
great
you for the
day.
call.
Have a great week, gentlemen.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Kyle. Well, what words of wisdom you want to leave our listeners with this week, Sam? We got about 90 seconds left.
Well, John, I, like a lot of men, are deeply concerned about what's going on in this country. And what I have for you today is a short prayer, and that is, Our Father in heaven, help us find courage to defeat the evil that the socialists bring. Let freedom ring, let the white dove sing, let the whole world know that Jesus is King. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen. God bless you and have a great week, John.
Amen. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Have you back next Monday. Great way to end the show. Tomorrow morning, I'll be talking to Steve Ben Noon today. See you.